Welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm dear darling, and shall we see what's going on our lovely island of Fawnhollow today, where it's kind of cold right now. And I suppose part of that's due to the fact that I've drawn my curtains in front of my windows. Actually, I'm not sure if it makes it colder or warmer. To be honest, I don't really get much sunlight into my. Well, no, I mean I do get sunlight, like diffused light, but I don't get like direct light into my room. But the sun never quite passes over my window, at least of these sort of things. And even when it does, there's a lot of like these giant trees in the way. Oh, they're huge trees, by the way. Like, you never really think about it. Trees are pretty tall. Well, maybe you do think about it. But anyway, hello there, everyone. Right now in Fawnhollow, it's 3:10 PM on Thursday, December 2nd, 2021. This may not count as news, but I do have a cautionary tales of sorts to say. This is, Crazy Red is here visiting. So we'll see if he's got any legitimate works for us to purchase. So if he doesn't, then... oh, well. But do just be what life is like. I don't know why I was going with like the trees are really tall thing. I don't know. Things it's like reverse vertigo when you look upwards and something is like dizzyingly tall or whatever. Label giving us some 2 Taylor tickets. So she did like, in fact, the outfit we were wearing. Jolly red with a treasure trawler. I just like nearly choked myself. Excuse me. I don't really know what to talk about. It's kind of cold. Taking time to wash away the day's stress is so rejuvenating, don't you think? And you, my dear, are always working so hard, so I thought this might help you unwind. I do hope you find it refreshing. Thank you, Amelia. I don't actually think we've had that letter before. I honestly don't know why we're still burying and digging up these gyroids just to get gyroids we already have, I think. Crumploid. I suppose we're still just sort of test our knowledge of which one the crumploid is. Okay, which one's a crumploid? I think it's this little dude right here. So, you know, this is where you test your metal. How well do you know all the new gyroids? In fact, it's exactly the same one. It's exactly the same colour as well. Yeah, I don't know. What should we talk about? Haven't really recorded much because, you know, I've got a big backlog and also busy doing stuff because, you know, going on a holiday. Not tomorrow, the day after tomorrow is when we'll be flying, but I won't be recording anything tomorrow because I've already recorded stuff in advance, and just to make sure I've got enough time to do everything, and also because, you know, my friend's birthday is on my 4th. If your friend's birthday, if you're that friend, please stop watching, but yeah, he doesn't watch these videos, so it's probably fine. We're working on something for him, so it's a little bit time consuming. Oh yeah, I did talk to Rach and I gave them all the paintings that they were missing. They gave me. Apparently I already knew the vine garden, to my apologies if you're watching, Rach. Yeah, they gave me the recipes that I was missing from their collection because they actually collect recipes, unlike me who just immediately sells them because I'm still used to the muscle memory factor. We can no longer, we just like dump them on the floor. And I also used to not have many people to give them to anyway. Mainly because my friends have stopped playing, is what I mean. Not in like a sad way, like, oh, so dejected. What happened? No, it's just my friends stopped playing, so that's about it. Apart from Rach. There we go. Anyway, what should we talk about? So, let me think. Because I probably won't talk about it for a while. I'm going to talk about exactly what's going on with this, like, a birthday thing we're doing. If you don't know, you know, as a group of 4 of us and friends, we give each other, like, stupid, like, birthday projects that we do, every now and again on their birthdays. Like the most recent one we did for one of our friends is we made like a sort of like a video edited montage clips of like a parodies of a load of like TV shows and things like that of movies that are relevant to him, and honestly I think it's the best one we've ever done. The year for my birthday they gave me some what are they called, Copic pen markers, and they like did a nice little drawing of them based off like some of my characters and things which are relevant to me. And this year we are making a card game for one of them. But the last friend's birthday of this year, we're making a card game in the style of Four Souls or Red Dragon Inn, if you want. And you know, I don't really play many card games, to be honest. Like these party card games, these board card games, not like card games like Solitaire or Poker or anything like that. I mean, I play those even less, to be frank. But I always like the concept of them. I'm always like, oh, I want to play them. Well, it's not like I want to play them necessarily. It's more like I like the idea of playing them, but then actually playing them is like, I don't really want to do this. you get me. And I think it's like a sort of a confluence of many different lessons. Reasons. I like learning about game mechanics and seeing like interesting mechanics apply to things. So when I see a board game or a party game or something where I'm like, oh, that's a cool idea for a thing, I really like the idea of it and the idea of playing it. But then actually playing it, for one, you actually have to purchase it, which, you know, costs money. And if it's not something you play very often, then it's not just like, that seems like a waste of money. two, you had to get people together to play the first place, which, you know, in some rights is a little bit difficult and tedious, but kind of depends. And certainly in these sort of times, especially with the new Omicron coming out, it's a little bit like you can't really meet up as easily, so you had to do things digitally. And, you know, not every game's got a digital variant. And there is board game tabletop simulator, which has a lot of the games adapted, and then that always feels a little bit sketchy to me, because I'm just like, I'm kind of like, it's kind of like pirating a game, except for it's not really pirating a game, I guess. I don't know if it sits quite right with me. I just stopped by for a chat. Hey, do me a favour, go talk to Rowan a little bit. I want everyone to have a good time. You know what? Fair enough. I didn't even know you had dialogue for the other visitor. The other day, Raymond gave me a sports drink and it was so good. No, I'm not just here for another sports drink. Unless you're having one. Then I am. Based. Very based of you, Rowan. Very based of you. Sorry, let me have a sip of water. Yeah, so gathering everyone together is a bit of a, not issue per se, but it's a bit of an annoyance, a hindrance to actually enjoying a board game in of itself. We should try and reunite this with our owner, so who could it possibly belong to? A personal planner, every line is filled with precise, perfect handwriting. I should close this. This must be Lily's. And then it's sort of like the final obstacle is not only do you have to find people who want to play the game and be like, oh yeah, I want to actually give that a shot or something, rather than be like, oh yeah, I guess I'll give it a shot because, you know, I just want to hang out with friends about something. You know, it's kind of more fun to play with people who actually want to play. And I say this with a full self-awareness that I'm not particularly someone who actually has a strong desire to play these sort of games like all the time in the first place. I just sort of like the idea of them. So I understand there's a sort of irony there. But, you know, I'm fully aware I'm part of a problem. So I suppose, if anything, it's more like a confessional booth we got going on right now. What was I saying? But then you have to teach the rules to everyone. So you even need to know the rules kind of properly yourself, or, you know, someone else needs to. And then if it's a complicated game, you have to explain them to every single person. You know, that gets like kind of tedious, and it kind of depends on the game, because obviously the more complicated, not necessarily the more complicated games, I think, are better games necessarily, but sometimes they have much more interesting mechanics, and those are mechanics I kind of latch onto. There's like a high chance of that sort of thing. So there's not many simple games where I'm just like, oh, I want to try that. But surprisingly, I still know quite a lot of these sort of like party board games and that sort of thing. Like, there used to be a board game society in a university I went to, but I never attended it. No, I think I signed up for like a mailing list, and then I just never went. But they have, you know, they play things like Ticket to Ride, like, was it Sheriff of Nottingham? I can't think of any others because I never went, but they did stuff like that. But I know a lot of them, like, I know there's like Love Letter, there's like Sushi Go for like simple games, but those mechanics never really like grabbed me as much, you know, like it's a simple idea, but it's sort of like, I don't really care as much. And I think part of the reason is, as I say before, I tend to not be so jazzed about competitive games. You know, and then, you know, just say, stop me if you've heard this before, which you can't stop me, so I'm just going to keep going. I was like, oh, I don't really like competitive games as much because I tend to prefer cooperation of most things, and I don't have much competitive spirit, so winning and losing don't really make much of a difference. I'm sort of there just to play the game itself, and once the game has sort of worn away its welcome, I'm just like, I've lost interest. Okay, so this is fake because it's sticking out its tongue. This is fake because it's got an earring. This is fake because it doesn't have an artichoke bud. And this, I don't even know, but we have it, I'm pretty sure. This is where we check our documents to see if we actually have this one or not. What's this one? A moody painting. Well, it's already been donated, so I guess we'll just get the fake dog statue because I don't think we have a fake version of that one yet. And perhaps we might use it in a decoration somewhere. I don't know. But yeah, this one's certainly fake because it's sticking out its tongue. And once again, crazy word with atrocious hit rate for legitimate paintings. Actually, to be fair, I think this one might be legitimate. I don't know. Maybe I should have bought it. Oh well. But that one I can't remember what makes it legitimate or fake. So if I can't do that, then I just assume it's always been legitimate. Anyway, what was I saying? I forgot. Oh yeah, I guess we'll just farm Nookmar missions points now. We need to go to... No, we don't need to go to Photopia. Yeah, I guess we'll just farm Nookmar mission points. Oh my word, we had to customize, cook up, storm, change, deep sea diving. Sure. Yeah, I tend to value cooperation more highly, not because I'm just like, oh, I think cooperation is necessarily better. It's just more fun, I suppose, personally for me. I like to cooperate together to reach a certain goal. So that's why cooperative games tend to sit better. It's not like I play a competitive game and I'm like, get this away from me. I'm just like, it's more like I don't get much, I don't derive much amusement from it compared to what other people seem to derive from like winning the game. They're like, yeah. I'm just like, okay. Which is, I gather it's a very, not gather, I understand it's kind of weird, but I don't really know why. I guess it's like just something in my brain that's, I don't have that competitive gene or whatever. Or it's been like slowly eroded away. Which maybe makes it sound a lot sadder than it actually is. I don't know where Lily is, so it's going to be quite difficult to actually return this to her. But I guess we'll have a wander around and see if we can find her. Let's do some deep sea diving. We'll sell some items and put some stuff away. And then we'll figure that out for now. Figure it out afterwards. Oh, I see a blue in the background. That's a green one. Greens aren't recipes. Green is... I can't remember what green is. Furniture? Oh no, let's shoot it down. Because I'm not sure what seasonal sort of recipes we've got going on. Where is it? Oh, here it is. But I was looking, you know, obviously I was looking at some card games trying to design the thing. And the card game we have is based off Four Souls and Red Dragon Inn. Kind of. Obviously it's not like a one-to-one creation because that's a little bit like boring. Versus just a reskin. We actually did design mechanics and that sort of thing, and now we're in the process of creating cards. Some of the cards are done. The rest of them I'll be doing after I've finished recording this episode, which is, you know, it's tedious. I will certainly admit, but it is something I just need to get done. There's not really any two ways about it. And it's kind of fun though. And because Tabletop Simulator allows you to make your own custom card games, maybe part of me is just like, oh, maybe I should design my own sort of card game and do these sort of things. But really what I want to do is I probably just want to draw the cards. I'm not really sure I care. I mean, like, I understand these mechanics. I like thinking of mechanics, but then, you know, actually balancing the mechanics and having to playtest and Q&A is just like, oh, what tedium. But it has to be done, so, you know, still do it. But yeah, and obviously we'll look at some sort of card games and things. But the two card games, I suppose, on my mind, which I really kind of want to play, but also kind of, you know, in the same vein, I'm not sure if I care too much about them. Actually, the first one, that applies to. The second one, I think I actually do want to play more legitimately, per se. Because, unsurprisingly, I tend to like trivia games and cooperative party games and that sort of thing. And that's I mean, kind of what the second one is. But the first one is a game called Roost. Is it, no, Root, not Roost. So that doesn't sound right. Which is interesting, because it's a competitive sort of game between... for like 1 to 4 players. I think it can go up to 6 with expansions or something, where you play as one of 4 different factions, and the factions all play very differently. You can play as like the cat faction, which I can't remember. You start with like one base of operations and slowly had to sort of, they're like the most vanilla playstyle. You had to sort of like slowly expand your material gain and overwhelm people with the strength of your units or something like that. You play as like the crow faction, I think, who tend to like have a lot of smaller units and tend to overwhelm with numbers. I think you play with like the green faction, which sort of like work in the shadows. I believe they're like the rebellion. I can't recall off the top of my head. We have to find Lily first before we do anything, which is a bit of a tedious annoyance. But she might be here in the town square. Oh yeah, here she is. Before we try and find this person who is crafting in our town. And then finally you can play as, I can't remember what they're called, like the merchant, or this isn't yours? I thought it was a personal planner. Wait, hold on. What was I think it's a personal planner. Every line is filled with precise, perfect handwriting. That's not Lily's? That's not a normal villagers? That's a snooty villagers? Wow, I actually had no idea. The snooty ones would be like, oh, it's always like so fashionably designed and whatever. Wow, and, you know, honestly, colour me surprised. Shows what I know about to judge people on my own expectations of them. What was I saying? I forgot. Oh yeah, and Root just seems really interesting, so I liked it. I was like, ooh, love me some asymmetric gameplay. And all the 4 like clans play very differently. And then like there's an expansion. There's like an expansion pack where you can play as like an otter clan, which I think they're kind of like merchants and they do a lot of like trading. And I can't remember what the other one is. I think it's like alligator or crocodile or something. I can't remember what they do, to be honest. And I was like, oh, that's really cool, and you know, and I like that sort of concept. But then it's like playing it. This game, particularly Root, runs into the biggest problem, which I think is like, it sounds incredibly complicated to explain, because not only do you have to explain the basic rules to everyone, you also have to explain 4 different sort of mechanics to everyone as well, because everyone has a different like playstyle, which is, you know, cool in like mechanical terms, but then like if actually explaining them, like I just already know that if we play this sort of game, depending on who I play it with, I'd be the one who'd learn the rules and then explain them, and then it'll be, you know, I suppose part of me is like, oh, I need to get the rules right, because, you know, it's the point of rules, have a balanced around, have fun, and that sort of thing, and, you know, maybe that Oh, okay. I say that. I was going to be like, maybe it stresses me out. Yeah, no, that doesn't really stress me out, but it's just a bit tedious, you know. It's like, why don't we just instead play like some League of Legends or something, which everyone already knows how to play in the first place? And the answer is, you know, variety is the spice of life. You play different things to get different experiences and try different things out, and maybe if it's something that people enjoy, it becomes a staple. Which is, you know, the obvious answer, and probably the answer that you said if you were answering along to the questions in your mind, which, you know, fair enough. You can just do that by like typing down comments below, to be honest. If I recall, we cannot sell fake things to you, because I remember we have so many warrior statues or something, which... Oh no, but these are all the legitimate statues, so we're not going to sell them. Legitimate paintings, so we're not going to sell them. We're going to put stuff away, then we'll do the... No, we're going to do the daily exercises, then we'll put stuff away, then we'll customize and get changed, I think. Maybe in that order, maybe not in that order. But anyway, the other game that I was looking at was, or not looking at, was a game that has been on my mind, is one called Just One, I believe, which is a cooperative sort of trivia-esque game. It's not really like trivia necessarily, but it's more like, let me explain the premise. Everyone, okay, no, one person is, you're all working together to get through 13 cards of this game and try and do it as successfully as possible. What happens if you just don't do anything? No, we're going to try our best to do everything. So one person is a designated guesser for a round, and what they do is they close their eyes and they'll draw a card and they'll pick a random number on it, and the card has like a list of like 6 different items or something on it. So then everyone else can see that card and they can see what that person chose as their word, but of course the guesser can't. So the ultimate goal is for everyone else to give hints such that the guesser can guess their word, but they can only give, theoretically, 1 word hints. And that's also the thing, is that they also do it individually and privately, so there's no conferring. They can't be like, okay, I'll put like this down and you put that down. They had to do it separately, and they have to be like, okay, we're just gonna try our best to not repeat. And you might be like, oh, what's about repeating? But this is where the interesting mechanic comes in the game. If any 2 people write the same clue down, they can no longer show it to the guesser. So it becomes an interesting sort of balancing act. Well, I'd imagine I haven't actually played it. A balancing act of trying to put down like a really good clue, but not an obvious enough clue that someone else would guess it. Because if someone else guesses it, then that means that they can no longer be used as a thing in the actual guessing round, which, you know, that's an interesting sort of balance and trade-off. Like, you can also have discussions being like, oh, you know, I'm going to do the really obvious thing, but maybe someone else has like a different idea what like the really obvious clue is, and then they'll be like, okay, I won't do really obvious clue, I'll do second obvious clue, which would be like their obvious clue, and there's like some sort of weird overlap. So it's a nice sort of balance. You've got to think of an obscure enough clue which still is relevant to the word and won't mislead people. And it just seems like a really interesting one. And I was only recently thinking about this game because I saw Achievement Hunter played it, and I was like, oh, just one. This is a game I saw like a couple of years back or something, and I was like, oh, I completely forgot about this. I wanted to like buy it at some point and perhaps play it with people, because it seems like a really fun idea, to be perfectly honest. And yeah, like obviously it sort of ticks all the right boxes for me. You know, it's not competitive, it's cooperative. It's everyone's working together to one goal. It's simple, and also it's like mildly trivia based, kind of. And I tend to like those a lot better than I like other games. That's something, because it's interesting, because I used to really like social deception games when I was younger, and I suppose part of me likes them in concept. I just don't really like playing them in practice anymore. Social deception games, you know, like One Night, I didn't mean to put that away, oh well, One Night Ultimate Werewolf. We played other things. I'm trying to think of what other social deception games we played. I can't actually think of any, to be honest, but One Night Ultimate Werewolf was the one that we played in our friend group a lot of the time. But I think part of it is just sort of like a fatigue from it. It's like we played it so much that I'm just sort of like, I'm kind of done with it. And I'm sure part of it is like I tend to not like social deception as much anymore, because it, like, even though it's like okay, one, competitive, you know, I already talked about that earlier today, and 2, it's also like I tend to not exactly like lying all that much, you know. It's not exactly my favourite pastime or anything like that, and even if it's fun part of a game, it's not particularly fun. Like, as I understand it, people like get a little bit of glee, a little bit, oh, apparently we put a lot of things randomly away, and I never realised. a little bit of like a joyful glee, be like, hee hee hee, I tricked my friends and that sort of thing. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I can see how that's like fun and that sort of thing, but I don't really get that enjoyment from doing it in the like the context of game. I only like it in the context of like making a joke or something. Which I suppose is a different situation entirely. I just suppose it's all because I'm so competitively averse in the first place now that it's now like come full circle and it's now inhibiting other things, which is a bit, yeah, I'm not sure if I'd put it as a problem necessarily, but it's not like, it's probably not like the greatest thing in the world. Where should we put the snail? That's a good question. I don't really know. Let's put the snail. Let's move the dragonfly over here. We'll put the snail over here. Methinks. Because we have lots and lots of things to put down. We have a wolf roach as well. Interesting. So we'll put the dragonfly over here because this is a sort of like a flying area where every insect do be flying about. We'll put a wolf roach. We'll try and put it next to the beach. Beach. Let's go get away. They say what we're gonna say. Yeah, and also part of it is because I like to think I'm reasonably insightful when it comes to friends. I feel like I'm pretty decent at reading people and getting a sort of like underlying feelings, and I can tell kind of when my friends are lying and that sort of thing. Not all the time, obviously. I'm not literally a psychic. And I feel like I'm pretty good actually doing like bold-faced lies and that sort of thing, and being tricksy with that sort of aspect. To this extent where I'm just like, I'm not sure if I should feel bad. It's like one of those things. I'm not sure if I should feel good if I'm. It's like being good at lying. I suppose is like one way to rephrase it. Even though it's not really lying, it's more like being good at playing a deception game. It's like I'm not sure if I should feel good about being good at that. And I'm not even sure if I am good, mind you, at that. It's my own sort of intuition, but I feel like I am. But perhaps that's my own sort of like what's it called? You know the one, the Dunning-Kruger effect. That's something I think I overestimate my own abilities, which is very possible. And I actually don't know. I don't really think there's much of a way you can quantify these sort of things. I suppose you could be like, oh, most games are win percentage or something, but like I'm not keeping track of that, to be perfectly honest. But at least I very much appreciate Fortnite Ultimate Werewolf for being a simple werewolf game. Well, simple to a certain extent, and for being a quick werewolf game, I suppose. You know, it's over and done in about like 10 to 15 minutes. You know, compared to normal Mafia games. Like, I will say, I think normal Mafia kind of sucks. Bold claim, I know. Base Mafia, where you just have a doctor and, like, the one investigator or whatever, and everyone else is a civilian, it kind of sucks, in my opinion. But there's not much information to go off of, which is why I don't really like it as much. Like, there is information, you can try and, you know, read into your friends and be like, oh, you know, this person always does this when they're lying, and then I'll just ask them, hey, are you the Mafia? And they'll be like, no. But to me, I'm just like, that's not very interesting. But I guess it's more like there's no interesting mechanics at play there. And I suppose part of it is because like 90% of the people who play, we're going to go to Photopia just so we can get Katrina's blessing and then we'll leave, even though Crazy Red's not there. Even though that, oh, I can't remember what I was saying. But there's no interesting mechanics, and yeah, and part that's due to the fact that 90% of the people who play just do nothing for the entire time. They have like no interaction mode, no sway over the entire thing. But at least One Night Ultimate Werewolf, you do have sway over that sort of thing. You, of course, you have your character's abilities that can give you information, or you can withhold information, or you can try and understand what people do, and it sort of becomes a game of social deduction and puzzling, rather than Mafia, which is, I mean, you put it as social deduction, in my opinion, it's not very good social deduction. All you had to do is just be like, no, I'm not, and then you might just randomly die anyway. Yeah, but it's just, the only person who ever gets any information is the sheriff, or whatever they're called, investigator. I forget what they're called in Base Mafia. So that's my controversial opinion. Base Mafia sucks. I know, hot take, maybe. But some people really like Mafia, and you know, more power to you. If you're one of the people who loves Mafia, don't let me stop you. I'm not going to harsh your vibe just because I'm like, I don't really think Mafia is that interesting. I think it's more interesting being the narrator for Mafia and being able to like come up with like outlandish things and tell weaves together some sort of weird story, I suppose, which perhaps isn't all too surprising coming from me. I'm just saying, you know. I don't get much enjoyment out of actual Mafia, even when I'm like playing an investigator. Like I played it like quite a few times at university because it's obviously a quite simple game, and you know people play it when they're drinking. I'm just like, it's really it's really boring. Which is where I think, you know, that competitive element comes in, the desire to win and desire to like suss out your friends, sus, is where it comes in and brings a lot more fun to it. And I'm just like, I kind of rather do something else. But I don't know, maybe you like Mafia, maybe you're like, oh, I love it, like, don't be dissing my Mafia over here. And I'm like, I apologise. Also, why is it so windy? Did Katrina's window always, like, flutter in the breeze like that? I don't know. But yeah, there's my hot take. Mafia could be better. One Night Ultimate Wealth, pretty good. Alternative. I just don't have much desire to play anymore. I think it's because we played it so much. I've seen literally all there is to see in it. It's just like I'm not interested in seeing any more from it. Might be a better way to put it. It's done its due course, you know. I suppose normally in these social deception games, the first time I sort of play them, I do have fun, and it's normally because I like to come up with weird ideas of like strategies and things to try, and then I'll try them and be like, all right, cool, I've done it. And then it's like, hey, do you want to do it again? No, why would I do it again? I want to come up with another weird sort of strategy, or another weird way to play, or another etc etc. And then when I'm out of ideas, I'm just like, okay, I'm bored of this now. Like, I know I talked about this before. I said this about Among Us. You know, the first time I played it, social deception, interesting. Okay, like it's not really my cup of tea much anymore, but I'll still obviously give it a shot. I played it, I was like, okay, this is quite enjoyable, you know. And then, you know, as you played a little bit well, once you sort of understand the rules, all right, now I'm going to start doing weird things, you know. Can I trick people into doing this? Can I, like, do a really bold kill, like, right in front of someone? Can I kill someone right next to someone and then, like, blame it on them and get them voted out as someone like that, you know? If you're someone who plays a lot of Among Us, you might be like, oh, these are really basic strategies. Yeah, but, like, when you're starting to play for the first time and, you know, I don't watch this guy's Toast, or I don't know who else plays Among Us. He's the only one I know. I'm not coming up with I'm not like reusing strategies I see. I'm just like coming up with my own ones and seeing what I can implement. Yeah, I like to sort of just like mess around with it, something, try to do something weird, like what if I, you know, just play hyper aggressively as the imposter this time and kill literally anyone I see on sight almost. That could be fun. It could be a fun thing to experiment with. What if I try and like boldly deceive myself away through these votes? What if I try and do this X, Y, Z, etc., etc. And it's all kind of fun. Like I also had a similar thing with Town of Salem, where I tried like Town of Salem had different roles, so I was like, oh, I want to try each different role, etc., etc. But when I play it more, you know, I'm not going to say like things get solved. Things don't get solved. Like people will like get better at the game and that sort of thing. But I sort of like start losing interest, I suppose, at that point. I'm like, oh, I don't really have anything interesting I could be doing in this sort of game. And you might be like, you know, play the game and try and win. I'm like, yeah, but I don't really care about that. It's not like I don't care about, well, actually maybe it is like I don't really care about winning. Maybe that's the whole central point, is I don't really care about winning in the first place. So once try out a weird strategy I just come up, well, no, I shouldn't say I just come up with, like, it's more like maybe I adapted or like saw from somewhere else, I don't know, like saw someone do something and be like, oh man, what if I claimed that and I thought, like, think of that from a different perspective, maybe it would be cool. I kind of just like get bored. Which is why I suppose I ended up turning to sort of like more gimmicky things. Because I know, especially in Among Us, there's like this hide and seek mode. I thought that was pretty fun for a while, but it's probably not something I'd want to play all the time. Where am I going? I forgot immediately what I was going to do. I was going to go get seashells. She sells seashells by the seashore. Yeah, and then there are some other things like, well, when do we put like different mechanics on, etc., etc. But like, I suppose it's just like playing the game again, but doing a similar sort of thing is boring. If I don't have some sort of weird strategy that I want to employ or try and experiment with, then I'm just playing the game where it's just like, okay, deceive friend to win. Or, you know, kill friend, or do things secretly enough that people don't notice, or just do tasks, and that's it. I know that's a very reductive way to break it down and look at it, and I agree, I don't think representative, but like it's sort of like without a wacky sort of strategy, playing normally, quote, I suppose, or like trying to play, I'm not going to say trying to play optimally, because I don't think you can really play all that optimally or easily in social deception. You can optimize some parts of it, but the strategy you use, I suppose, is not really like, there's not like a dominant strategy, I don't think. It sort of just becomes like boring, I suppose. I don't care to perfect my craft of the base game, of the base mechanics in social deception games. Maybe that's the way I put it. that's why it becomes so uninteresting, unappealing, perhaps even to me. It's been an interesting exploration, I suppose. So it's a shame that a lot of these like party card games tend to be competitive, because I'm like, you know, I guess it just sort of subconsciously in my mind, I'm like, oh, if I start playing it, then this is only going to be like, how many times will I get to play this until I finally get bored of it? Which you might be like, hey, isn't that worth the money? And if you're having a fun time, yeah, I guess so. But then it's also like, would I rather be doing something else? Maybe. Which, you know, just adds to the problem. Like, why would I not, instead, why don't I just buy some random, like, indie video game, which is like a co-op campaign or something? Like, maybe the mechanics aren't as solid or whatever, but maybe I'll still have a lot of fun with it. I don't know. Could be a lot of fun. That's really like low-flying airplane or something. I'm not sure if you heard that. It was super loud. Super loud tactics, yeah? Yeah, so this has just been my, like, information dump, I suppose, about card games? I'm not sure what I'll call this. I'm not going to call this social deception games, because I'm pretty sure I already got a title, an episode called that. Card games? Party card games? That sort of thing? I don't know. Games of cards. Because I hate the fact that, like, I would call Four Souls a card game, but I would also call, like, Texas Hold'em Poker a card game. But they feel like different categories to me. So I guess it is like a party card game. Oh well, we're going to round off this episode here. So this will be the final non-Happy Home Paradise episode, probably, for a while. Until I, you know, get back from holiday, then we'll start seeing. I don't think I'll go immediately back into Happy Home Paradise, we'll see. But, yeah. Enjoy the pre-recorded Happy Home Paradise videos. I don't remember what I made, but maybe they're interesting. But we'll round off this episode here. So for now, if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been Dale Harding. Likes, comments, subscription, shares are greatly appreciated. Join the Dale Harding Discord, follow me on Twitter down below. Hope to see you again, but for now, it's our farewell. So until next time, bye-bye for now.